Hello guys, welcome back to ESENtaxa. Andrea Papito here, and in this video I'm going to prove that Italy is almost a tax heaven and you're going to pay less than 10% taxes in your real estate residential property investment. I'm going to reply back to some YouTube comments that I received in my last video, and I'm going to prove actually the contrary, okay? Now, if you're in this channel, ESENtaxa talks about how to optimize your taxation if you want to relocate to a specific country in Europe, and we help people to tax simulate their situation. We are also an accounting firm, so we help people also after the relocation, and we provide tax file return and accounting services if they want to run their business. But mostly we help people to understand in advance if a specific relocation tax-wise is a huge tax burden or actually it's an improvement financially and economically for the family or for the single person. If you want to have a consultation with us, in the description below the video you have our calendar link in which you can book a call with us or a tax simulation, or you can write at info@esentaxa.com, or you can also have the possibility to have a look to our brand new ESENtaxa Academy, in which we explain in our online courses all the tax benefits that you can have in a specific country in Europe. You will see this academy is going to grow with more and more online courses, and still the link in the description below the video. And in the end, I want to remind you also that if you like this kind of content and you want to be always updated for free with this kind of information, subscribe to the channel, notification bell, and like the button to help us grow as a channel. So let me go back quickly through this example and let me prove you that Italy is almost a tax haven when it comes to the investment on real estate. Now, the scenario is for the 2025 updates for the Italian Budget Law 2025, and I'm going to take this example. Okay, let's imagine we are going to purchase a property, and this property needs some renovation, because this is the classical and the best scenario to exploit this tax benefit that I'm going to show you. We have up to 48,000 euro as a limit in this 2025 of renovation costs. So you can renovate and you can spend as much as you want, but up to 48,000 euro is the threshold that you can use to multiply this amount of money to a percentage which is in 2025 36%, and this it's basically 17,200 euro that you can use as a tax credit or deduction against taxes rather than a tax credit, okay? So this is what you can do in 2025. Now, the Italian government doesn't give you this 17,000 euro straight in one shot, but they will allow you to receive this money in a span of 10 years. Okay, good. So we're going to divide this number in 10 years. So we have every year a tax credit or a tax deduction, to be more precise, of 1,720 euro. Okay, so if you renovate your property up to 48,000 euros as a threshold, you can recover back 36% of it, and then you have this amount of money every year that you can basically reuse. Now, let's imagine now the scenario. You have renovated your property, then you put your property under ordinary rent to student, worker, families. Okay, good. Classic. Let's make the example with easy numbers. So I put my property that gives me 1,000 euro per month as gross rent, and for 12 months, easy, 12,000 euro, okay, as income. So I'm going to receive from the Italian territory, thanks to my Italian investment under rent, a rental income of 12,000 euro per year, okay? Now, how can I tax this amount of money? I have two options. I can opt for a flat tax of 21%, or the RPF taxation, which is the progressive taxation rates, which is called RPF. So I can opt. The Italian government gives me the chance to choose flat tax or RPF. The RPF taxation has the advantage of allows you to use the tax credit that we have just received after the renovation. If we use the flat tax, we cannot deduct anything, okay? So in this case, in this scenario, for me, it's convenient to use the tax credit, and I have to choose the RPF taxation. So I'm not going to use this one, I'm going to use this one, okay? Now, you might tell me, okay, but the RPF taxation, you start from 23% up to 43%. How? I mean, it's a lot of money. I mean, you start with a higher tax rate rather than the 21. Let me tell you now how it works. If you opt for RPF taxation, you have 5% allowance deduction by default if you put your property under rent, under the RPF taxation, by default. So 95% of your 12,000 are subject to taxation, not 100%. So you have this small deduction. So my real income, taxable income, it's 11,400 euro. Then I multiply this 100 or 11,400 euro by 23%, which is the first tax bracket rates of the Italian progressive taxation rates, because the first slot is between 0 up to 28,000. I'm getting 11,400. I'm in the first tax bracket rates. And if I'm not resident in Italy, automatically I will start from the lower tax bracket rates because I'm not taxed on worldwide income. Okay. Now this amount of money, theoretically I should pay to the state 2,000 euro, 622 euro, okay? This is what I'm supposed to pay to the state, but I have my credit of 1,720 euro that I can use, split it in 10 years, because in the total is supposed to be 17,000, and then I subtract this amount of money. So I can use my renovation credit only if I have a rental income received from Italy taxed under RPF, because I choose to use the RPF taxation. So this gives me 902 euro in taxes to pay. How much the tax pressure? 900 euro almost, over 12,000, which is my real income that I received from my investment property. How much is the tax pressure? It's only 7%, 0.5, and we are below 10% taxation, okay? First example. Let me push a little bit more. Let me go to the next tax regime. The next tax regime, of course, along with this 7.5%, you pay also the IMU, which is the annual property tax, okay? First example done. And the annual property tax can be reduced based on the cadastral value. We already talked about this in the previous video, and we're going to talk more in details about how to choose your property with a lower cadastral value in our online courses. So check the link in the description below the video. Now let me do exactly the same example, but using a tax regime which is based on the agreed contract and not on free contract, okay? So the example that we have seen so far, there are no restrictions. You can ask as much as money you want, but with the agreed contract tax regime, you can apply a lower taxation, and now I'm going to explain you how low is this taxation, if you fulfill certain requirements, if you don't ask too much on a specific city and on a specific area. Now let's imagine that 1,000 euro, it's okay still for this constraint. You have found a place or a property or a single house which worth 1,000 euro under this threshold imposed by the agreed contract. And in our course we explain exactly how to deal with this agreed contract. And if you have this settled, you can apply either a taxation of flat tax of 10%, which is a flat, you cannot deduct anything, or an RPF taxation like before, where the deduction here is by default it's higher. So basically only 66%, 0.5% to be precise, of your rental income is taxable, which makes basically a real taxable income of only 7,000 euro, 980 euro. Okay, so 66% of my 12,000 give me this number. And now this number will be basically multiplied by 23%, which is the first tax bracket rates of the RPF taxation. Okay? How much is the final amount? Is 1,835.4. I will subtract for the next 10 years this amount of money with my tax credit, thanks to my renovation, and I have 1,720 euro. So the final amount is only 115.5 euro, okay? As tax to pay, 115 euro, okay? It's almost nothing. So if I multiply, okay, basically if I make my calculation, my tax pressure on this, only 150 euro over 12,000 euro as income, my tax pressure is only 0.96%. I'm even below 1% tax pressure. Okay? And then, as cherry on top, This tax regime with agreed contract allows you to have basically a discount IMU, which is the annual property tax, by 25%. So you pay the IMU with a discounted with 25% discount. Okay? I can apply these things, all this schema, this scenario, this plan, for each property that I'm purchasing in Italy. Okay? So this benefit of 48,000 is a threshold for each property. And as an individual, without moving to the field of business, I can run the schema for up to 4 properties. Okay? So if I maximize the return on investment of my properties, I can have an income of 4,000 euro for 4 different properties, having a taxation less than 1%. Now, if you want to know more about these things, and if you want to know how to run instead a bed and breakfast activity in Italy instead of using an ordinary rent investment, you can purchase our online course, or you can basically book a consultation with us in the description below the video with using our calendar link. I hope it was clear. I hope I clarified some comments that I received in my last video, and basically I helped you to understand how we reached these numbers. Keep in mind that in 2025 we shrink to 36%. Up to 2024 we have a deduction of 50% of our cost, which is still in place if you're purchasing your first home in Italy. And to purchase your first home in Italy, you have to move to Italy, live in Italy. In 2025 also the rules of first home have been slightly changed. Okay? So if you want to know more how to increase this number at 50% and apply for the Prima Casa, which is a tax discount also when you purchase your property, let us know in the description below the video, calendar link to book a consultation with us. Thank you for watching this video, and see you to the next content. Bye.